Hey, what's up guys and gals? My name is Rick9G. Thank you so much for joining me. We're going to be talking about I Love Lucy. More specifically, we're going to be talking about the last scene of an episode called Bon Voyage. Now, I'm showing images here of the episode. This is episode 140. It is from season 5 of the show, and it is one of my favorites of that season. If you don't know, if you haven't seen it in a long time, it's a great one where the Ricardos and the Mertzes are set to go to Europe, but they're taking a ship. And the great thing about it is that Lucy is always there to make sure that something wrong happens. Not on purpose, it's just Lucy, so stuff happens. Now what happens in this episode? Well, everyone checks into their stateroom when they get aboard the ship. However, Lucy goes back down to the dock after boarding the ship to hug little Ricky one more time. Unfortunately, her skirt gets caught in the bicycle and she misses the boat. Everyone else is on there. Of course, her husband, Ricky, the Mertzes, and everyone else. Lucy continues to be desperate, does whatever she needs to do to get on board. So she hires a helicopter to fly out the boat and drop her on the deck. And that is where we come to the final scene of the episode. One of the greatest, and in my opinion, super hilarious. Now, Lucy is aboard the helicopter with the helicopter pilot, and he tells her that it's time to get ready to get her on the ship. So she, of course, thinks that the helicopter pilot is going to land on the deck, and of course that is not allowed, at least according to the Lucy universe. This would never be allowed at all. It is completely illegal according to the FAA. But what he does say, no, the only thing that we can do is hang you from the harness that you're wearing and lower you down so that you're hanging by the wire, and then you can basically step on the boat while the helicopter is hovering. Something super crazy, but as I mentioned, only something that you could do to Lucy. Now, a little fun fact about this is that Lucille Ball was actually terrified of doing this scene. Even though she looked completely happy, she was in an accident before where she hurt her vertebrae in a previous production, and so she was terrified of doing this scene, but she did it and didn't tell anyone until afterwards how scared she was. Now, as she was being lowered down, she finally actually puts her 2 feet, plants them on the ship's deck. However, Ricky accidentally, quote unquote, according to the script, gets a hold of her, and the helicopter begins to lift a little bit, and she lifts off the ground with Ricky attached to her. His legs are flailing. That is all part of the script. They plan that out. You can even see the way that Ricky holds her harness so that he gets pulled up along with her. Something very risky. I'm surprised that he did that type of stunt. But anyway, as he's flailing his legs, Vivian Vance, who plays Ethel Mertz, is very, very close to him, and she gets kicked in the face. Now, that is not part of the script. That actually happened. In fact, it's a blooper. It's a mistake in this episode. It's an embarrassing mistake, and it gets left into the final production of the episode. Now, you may ask, why didn't they stop? Well, I Love Lucy was really big into filming everything from beginning to end, kind of like a play, without stopping unless they had to move from scene to scene, address the set, and so forth. So they made sure not to stop unless it was almost an emergency. So even though Ethel, that is Vivian Vance, got kicked in the face by Desi, by Ricky, they did not stop. They continued, they left it in there. And what I'm very surprised at was that Vivian Vance continued the scene. She continued to do what she had to do. She was very professional. I always saw this scene and saw her being kicked and thought, why didn't she have like a snarky face? Like, why didn't she get even momentarily, instinctually upset at being hit in the face? But no, she had none of those facial reactions. She completely went back into character. I would even argue that she never left the character to begin with. It speaks to her professionalism. Everyone else as well. Remember, the audience that was there watching this being taped or this being filmed, they were right there live. Now, stopping the actual filming does take a little bit away from that experience of seeing something funny. So they try to continue going so they could record the laughs and so forth. And honestly, my hat is off to each and every one of them. Now, have you seen this in syndication? Do they leave this in? I don't watch the syndication episodes. I usually watch them all on DVD so I could see the entire episode uncensored. When did you first notice this? Was it in this video or was it before? And what do you think of Vivian Vance and even Desi accidentally kicking Vivian Vance and leaving it in there? We'll see you next time, guys and gals. I always love to know your thoughts down below. And most importantly, be hopeful. Thank you so much to all my supporters on Patreon, especially my Diamond tier patrons: Tommy G, Citizen Kane 359, Grace U, Sally N, David D, and Ricky. You can find exclusive content on Patreon at different tiers. Go ahead and check it out, and thank you so much.